Sometimes the recollection of what, when, and why can get lost in a man's head. Once an idea sticks, well, it just has to be done. For Brad, it was to bicycle across BC. And he was in luck, for his good friend Steve had the same idea. And he had been thinking about it, well, for 10 years. So Steve said, "Let's go. I have this truck and the airplane's leaving in an hour." Well, it wasn't that easy. The boys had planned all winter and prepared all spring, and waited through most of the summer. Once on the plane, the excitement had set in. The whole trip was laid out below them, and it didn't seem so daunting from high above, well, after all. And the forecast for the next 2 weeks was nothing but sun. In Calgary, the boys had to assemble their bicycles. It looked like a big old mess, but they thought it was actually a lot of fun putting the bikes back together. Brad, well, he got to try out his fisheye lens camera that he brought along for the trip. Steve took a picture of his bike, once fully loaded, in front of the airplane that the two of them had just arrived on. Everything fit nicely together, and they rode off past the many gophers that lived along the airport hill. Day one of the journey led them down the Bow River to downtown Calgary, where they stopped to gander at the city skyline and figured, hey, this is a good place to have a photo opportunity. Leaving town, they found themselves on Highway 1. It was horrible, horribly loud. It brought them to the crossroads where they got their first flat tire. But that didn't stop the boys. They were stoked. They were pumped. And they were on their way to the big adventure of 2010. The bike trip full of hills and headwinds. Their first campground that night was between Highway 1 and Highway 1A. The boys stayed up late till about 2 a.m., drinking and hollering around the campfire. But that didn't stop them from getting an early morning start on Highway 1A. On the way to Lake Louise, it was going to be a day full of mountains upon mountaintops. And the weather was beautiful. By mid-afternoon, the boys were feeling like pros. Veterans, that is. After the many stops and breaks, they just kept on going up a slow grade all the way to Lake Louise, on the approach of Kicking Horse Pass. Highway 1 was quite beautiful. Everything was lush since Alberta had a bad summer this year. There was lots to see and lots to eat. Some good spots that soon became populated with other tourists. But that was okay. The road was theirs for the day, and Lake Louise was going to be their second destination. On day 3, they left Lake Louise under a forest fire of haze. Today they were taking the historic Kicking Horse Pass train route, a giant descent down to the flat river plateau. It was 30 minutes straight down. Now that calls for some beers by the riverside, if I don't say so myself. This was a particularly nice spot for lunch. The boys had found on the other side of the river. Also, a great place to do some laundry next to the river's edge. Day 4. The boys left Golden before sunrise and got some good shots of some morning fog that was lingering upon the valley floor. Today had a big ride in store, 170 kilometers from Golden to Revelstoke, leading up and over their highest ascent, Rogers Pass. Early in the morning they passed by a big old black bear. It seemed quite perplexed and startled as they passed on by. A quick break by the Beaver River for some salmon sandwiches and some noon-hour sun, and then it was off up over the pass through a series of 9 tunnels. They were on their way. Day 5. Leaving the nice town of Revelstoke, they traveled south along the Upper Arrow Lake. The midpoint involved taking a short ferry ride to the other side and onward to the little town of Nikusp. Hills and headwinds all the livelong day. Hills and headwinds bound to come our way. Sun up on the shoulder, soon to cast away, bringing a tailwind to bring us home again. Day 6 brought the boys to the magical town of New Denver, Steve's favorite place on earth, and later, Brett would fully agree New Denver was special. A hard place to leave, indeed. Surrounded by mountains, trees, bakewater, rivers, and abundance of wildlife. Day number 7 was the most picturesque day they've encountered. A quiet road with the average climb out of New Denver. For the whole duration of the climb, the small ice field that sits above New Denver was always in view behind them, right over their shoulders. They stopped by some remains of a decommissioned mine shaft. Then later, they stopped by a lake called Fish Lake near the summit and watched the fish swim in the shallow green waters. No fish to be caught though, just more canned salmon sandwiches for the way on down. On day 8, they stopped in Nelson for some laundry, some food, and some coffee at a local trendy coffee shop. Onwards towards Christina Lake, Steve had some worries regarding the Polson summit they were about to climb. His motorcycle trip recollection of the size of the hill was completely correct. Over and over, the two fools assumed they had reached the summit, only to be given another rising turn to nowhere. Into the night they rode, cold and exhausted. Leaving Christina Lake, this was the first attempt at riding on the Trans-Canada Trail. Though the first they got sidetracked and had to cross a small river, they became rewarded soon afterwards with another black bear sighting just below this bridge. It was a nice break from the cars. The scenery and the swimming holes were picture perfect. Rolling past Midway, the middle point of the province, the town's mills were deserted. This photo here is of Brad taking this picture with the fisheye camera. Notice the depth perception. Objects in the mirror may appear further away. 18 days of bicycle riding.
Riding through those clouds and barren wastes, galloping hard on the plains, chasing the redskins back to their holes, fighting them at their own game. Murder for freedom, they're stabbing the back. Women and children are cowards attack. Run to the hills. Run for your lives. Run to the hills. Run for your lives.
The first cattle gate was a fun novelty, but by the 12th it had become an annoyance. Back to the pavement, up the Kettle Valley to the Myra train trestles they went. It was a huge day in the sun, a non-stop climb. That's it, Brad. Looked like you're enjoying the task of changing that tire again. And again they rode into the night, and camped high above Kelowna between two train trestles. On day 10... Whoa, wait a minute. No more of this Morgan Freeman voice. It's not working. It's not happening. Let's just listen to some more music or something. Okay. Well, that was about it for the pictures. It rained the rest of the trip. So, here's a sunny picture of neighborhood, Victoria. All right, thanks.